story's ability of posting. So, what makes a good show? Is it the story's ability of positing a revolutionary concept, or to delve into deep, unprecedented philosophical topics and tackle uncharted themes and ideas? Or maybe it's the unique characters present that imbue the show with relatability and separate it from the rest. This season of Mob Psycho 100 has me thinking otherwise. Mob Psycho takes themes like self identity, camaraderie, uniqueness, and blends them into a tale that I will not soon forget. Mob Psycho tackles the aforementioned themes in a way that most of its predecessors have failed to do so. This has me believing that in order to fabricate a good story, you don't need the most original concept but need to execute whatever you have in your hand to a T. This season, we again go on a journey with Mob, the OP psychic, and Reagan, the conman, as they exorcise the demons present in the world and those present inside of them. The plot is as simple as it gets. We have a exorcism going on, Mob being taken advantage of and decided to become a better person. Claw making a move, the body improvement club being awesome, etc. The plot doesn't really diverge from what was presented to us in season 1, though it does take some detours, and those are what makes this season so much better than the first one. The previous season focused more on the fights and the aesthetics, whereas the season, the attention is more on the character development through the fights. Sure, the fights look as beautiful as ever, given credit to the absolutely amazing Bone Studio, but more importance is given to how the characters change and what they take away from the fights. Reagan and Mob visit various clients, and most of the time, the exorcism of the spirits serve as a catalyst for Mob's growth as a character and as a human. But where the anime shines is not the plot, but the characters. The characters are the heart of the show, which is true for most stories, but more so with this one. The characters may look like typical shonen characters if it looks superficially, but when scrutinized, one can come up with a different conclusion. One aspect about characters I love is how the humans feel. Mob doesn't require any catalyst for the instigation of the feeling that he needs to change. It comes from within him. It's a joy to see him transform into a socially acceptable person from a socially awkward teen. The show handles this change in a way that is realistic and poignant, which is to be expected as the show does such a great job of portraying the difficulties and hurdles faced by Mob due to his awkward disposition. No development feels rushed or out of place, and everything is handled at a pace that is not too fast but not too slow that the watchers get bored. As we watch Mob Psycho trying his level best to grow up as a person, you can't help but start to support him. The Body Improvement Club is what a society should be. They are introduced as temporary comic relief characters, but slowly they become an integral cog in the growth of Mob. We don't spend much time with them on screen, but whenever they are on the screen, the experience is absolute gold. The two characters in the spotlight are Mob and Reagan, as always, with the latter also getting a character arc, which is probably one of the best I've seen in recent years. Reagan is a conman. He swindles people, including Mob, for his own personal gain. But despite that, he is one of the most likable characters in the series. At first, there seems to be a dichotomy between him and Mob, with Mob lacking the very confidence that Reagan seems to be brimming with. Reagan, when put in a difficult situation where his only ally seems to be himself, his introspection reveals a great deal about him and his relationship with Mob. He realizes that under the pretense of helping Mob control his powers, he was actually taking advantage of him and was holding Mob back from his enjoying his youth. After his epiphany, he does not feign ignorance but to tries to become better himself as a person. The ultimate move, self-defense rush, is capable of destroying the whole planet and needs to be nerfed. The anime also boasts a spectacular cast of supporting actors. We have got Dimple, the spirit, who wanted to take over Mob's body at first, but warms up to him and becomes more and more of a comrade after each passing episode. This change happens gradually, which helps audience familiarize themselves with his character. We don't get any abrupt character change, and thus the show avoids alienating the viewers. Another character worth mentioning is Mogami, a resentful spirit who is the perfect depiction of what Mob would have been had he not met with Reagan or had Reagan was a selfish person. The meeting between Mob and Reagan is what kept Mob and his uncontrollable powers anchored to the ground. The Body Improvement Club is as epic as ever, and this season has convinced me that the biggest missiles they have are the heart. The characters are meticulously crafted and handled with care. That being said, there are some flaws here and there. Most of the villains are underdeveloped and are there only as an obstacle for our heroes to overcome. We don't really know their motivation and what they are going to do in the future. Not all villains are canon for to do. The leader of the organization has a goal set in his mind, and through his motivations are a bit overbearing. It's not difficult to picture that among teens of hundreds of espers, one would come across such a guy. Although the villains are not as interesting they could have been, I don't think it matters much, because at the end of it all, Mob Psycho what really is, if you ask me, is coming of a age story. The animation is absolutely brilliant and one of the best of this year, and Studio Bones have outdone themselves once again. If you're holding out on this show because you think that the animation looks crap, then I don't know what to say to you except you're missing out on an acid trip. The facial animation conspicuously shows the character's emotion, and much of the character's thoughts are through their body language. There is a lot of visual storytelling which is really complementing by the unique art and animation. Lastly, the fights are stupendous. The animation does a great job of representing the tension and force exerted by each punch, each kick that the characters throw and receive. Every time someone uses his or her psychic powers to pin someone to the ground, the anime does an awesome job of accentuating the augmentation of gravitational field around them, which helps in visualizing the telekinetic powers that the characters possess. This one guy has the power to teleport himself anywhere he wants. Shimetsu is a great character and keeps doing so while fighting. You would think that it would make it very hard for us to follow him as he keeps darting around, but due to the excellent cinematography and clever use of visual direction, you can always keep your eyes on him. That's some next level stuff right there, and massive props to everyone involved in animating the series. The music is brilliant as well. I'm no connoisseur of music, but I can tell whether a piece of music fits a scene or not. And in this case, most of the scenes perfectly complement the ongoing music. The music during fights are perfect to get you hype, and those during the emotional series will make the feels hit you like a truck. And also, the OP is really fire, and Mob Psycho 100 is one of the best character-driven narratives to come out in recent years. It's a near perfect retrospective looking into a teenage mind and how everyone is susceptible to change. It sends a message that no matter how incongruous you are with respect to your surroundings, no matter how detached you are with reality, you can always start over.